I'm actually going to step, ooh, that's loud. I'm actually going to step down here a little closer to you, so I'm going to come around and use the lower podium. Something being up on stage is a little, doesn't make me feel that comfortable, so I think I can see everybody, so I know everybody can see me, so we'll just do it right here. So he told you that I worked with the UN. Before that, I was a police officer for a long time down in South Carolina. So we're going to just wake up a little bit. I sent some people kind of drifting a little bit, so I need everybody to stand up. Stand up, please. This is your first day at the police academy. Stand up, stand up. What are you waiting for? Let's get up. All right. First thing we're going to do is a little PT. Okay, some of you may not know what PT is, but that means physical training pain. I had the P in there. All right, so first thing we're going to do is going to only take a minute to wake up. Is we're gonna do the PT. I'm going to tell you what to do, and you're just going to motion with me. We ready? I heard like 2 people. Are we ready? Are we ready? All right. First thing we're going to do is push-ups. Now you're wondering how you're going to get on the floor. We're going to do standing push-ups. So find that imaginary wall in front of you. Ready? We're going to do 7. 1. Push. Come on. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Now we're going to climb the ladder. Climb the ladder. Climb the ladder. Imaginary ladder. All right. Now you're going to do more push-ups. Push-ups again. All right. Not cheating. Let's go. Push-ups. Real push-ups. Or everyone will have to do it again. All right, now we're going to do leg raises. Leg raises. All right, to work out those abs, because you're going to have good abs. All right, back to the push-ups. Push-ups. All right, that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we're going to run to the police car. Run to the police car, because you walked away too far from it. You're going to jump in the car now. You're going to turn on the siren and go, woo, let's go. Woo, I don't know. Woo, wee woo, anything. We'll be a French police officer, okay? Alright, now we're going to get out of the car and we're going to do our last set of push-ups. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, sit down. Whew, okay, now I'm tired. Alright. 1940 something. 1940 something. I can't remember the exact year, but that was a long time ago. And I'm pretty sure almost none of you in here were even born. And I think most of you were, maybe all of you were not even thought of, you know. But my dad was 15 years old. 15 years old, a teenager like some of you. And my dad was born in India. And he came up with this plan with some of his other family members that he was going to go to Africa and get rich. Because back then, if you wanted to get rich, you went to Africa. In a particular place in Africa called Uganda. And so my dad got on a ship and went to Uganda. And so he got there, he was a young man, he started working for somebody, and then saved up his money, and then bought a little business, and then he started making more money, and then he bought another business, and next thing you know, it worked. He became a rich man. In fact, he became what we would call a millionaire. Very rich man. Had some houses, had some factories, and he was well off. And then he went back to India, found my mom on a little black and white photograph, and said, I'll marry her. And that's how they got married. They met on a photograph. And so then my mom went from India to Africa to join him, and somewhere along in there, I was born. I was the only boy. I have 2 older sisters, and I was born there in Africa. And so we grew up in Africa. That's all I knew. I was newborn, and one of the things, if I can get that first picture, we were not Christian. I didn't even know what Christian was. My dad didn't even know what Christian was. First picture? You know that picture I gave you, the first picture? Ah, there we go. So, take a good look up there. You know, sometimes as an adult, it even scares me to look at some of this stuff. It creeps me out, honestly. But growing up, this is what we worshipped. These were our gods. Just like we acknowledge and worship Jesus today, these were the gods that I worshiped, that my dad worshipped, that my mom worshipped, my sisters worshipped, and all of our family. And for those that don't know, it's called Hinduism. Just like we have Christianity, you got Hinduism. And this is all the different gods in Hinduism. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry, I'm not great at math. That's 9 gods. But there are hundreds of thousands of them. Hundreds of thousands. So while we were in Africa, my dad was really like committed. He was like, we have to worship gods. And these are the gods we worship. And he even built a temple inside the house, you know, and you had a God that was going to help you live long life. You had another God you prayed to if you wanted money and wealth. You had another God that if you had an enemy and you wanted him to knock out your enemy, you can go pray to that God. So you had God basically for everything. And so growing up, that's what I worshiped. It was normal for me. It was also normal for me to just talk to them. And pray to this God and ask for this, pray to that God. So we are a very devout family. We definitely were into our religion. So, growing up, this is what I knew. We had a huge temple and everything. And then, when I was 5 years old, a crazy thing happened. This guy took over the country. His name was Idi Amin. And he did not like anyone that wasn't from his country. And all of a sudden, overnight, my dad lost everything. He became penniless. In fact, he even lost his passport because by then he was a citizen of that country. And so he had no country, he had no wealth, and this evil dictator that took over wanted him out of the country in 24 hours. Or he's going to kill him. So now my dad's panicking, my dad's scared. What about our family? There was other people in this too, of maybe thousands, who were in the same boat. What are we going to do? How do we get out of this country? And so they were trying to go to the airport and buy a ticket and get out or whatever they can do. But this evil dictator closed off the airport. He closed off the borders. And he even threatened that I'm just going to kill these people. But it was the United Nations and the American Red Cross that came and talked to him and said, look, don't harm these people. Listen, we'll take them. We'll send some planes. We'll evacuate them. We'll lead them out of here. But just don't hurt them. And so the United Nations started bringing in planes from all these different countries and land at Entebbe Airport. And my dad said we had to get to the airport, no suitcase, no luggage, nothing in your pockets, no jewelry, because there were soldiers there that would take all of that from you. And no paperwork, nothing. Just the clothes on your back. And the first plane that landed is the plane you got on. And if that plane was donated by Kuwait, you went to Kuwait. If the next plane that landed was donated by Belgium, guess where? You went to Belgium. That's right. So my dad ended up in Belgium. Now, Dad didn't speak Belgium. He didn't know anything about Belgium. And he certainly did not like the fact that it snowed there, because he'd never experienced that in his life. And so the UN came to him and said, listen, we want to help you establish your life all over again. You and your family. Where can we take you? And my dad told him, can you take me to a place that's a lot like Africa where I was in Uganda? Because I love the weather. That's what he told him. I love the weather. I said, Dad, you couldn't think of something more reasonable to ask? He said, no, I love the weather. So somebody, by the miracle of God, was listening to my dad say that and said, well, you know, there's a place in the United States of America, in a place called South Carolina, that is just like Uganda, you know? And I was, you know, and so they flew my dad, my family, we had nothing, we didn't even speak English. They flew us straight to New York. From New York, a seminary, a Lutheran seminary that was in South Carolina took my family in. They were students, and they gave one of the dorm rooms to my family to live there. And the seminary students said, we will take care of them. We don't know how, but we'll take care of that one family. And so we lived with these students for a little bit. My dad didn't speak English. He had no money whatsoever, so they tried to help him find a job. And one of the jobs, they were like, how do you not give somebody a job? They don't speak English. And so they were trying to figure out what they could do for him. And they found a factory, a steel mill, where all he had to do is learn how to drive a little forklift. And he didn't have to talk to anybody. He just had to put the metal over here and unload the truck and everything. They were just kind of motioning it, you know, because he didn't speak the language. And so he went to work for this steel mill, and he worked there for the next 30 years of his life. He committed to doing that. He made sure Mom didn't work, even though he never really got the English thing. He was all broken English, you know. But he made sure we went to school and all that. But one of the things he did when we first got our first house, because he saved all his money, is he said, we're going to build a little temple, just like we had in Africa. So inside the house, we built this little thing that looked like a doghouse. I mean, literally, it looked like a doghouse. Except for that it didn't have little, you know, the dog cut out or anything. But it was hollow, and we put pictures of all these gods inside, and every evening we'd come up to it, and we'd pray. We'd light a little candle, we'd go clockwise with the candle, then counterclockwise, and then my mom would make some food, and we presented like this, like these pictures were somehow mysteriously eating this stuff, you know, and we'd sing songs and chants, and just like you do like praise songs, we're doing praise songs to this. It was normal for me, very normal. And my dad made sure, then he went one step further. He said, you know what? We should find other Indians, because there's got to be some others that live around here. And in South Carolina at that time, maybe 2 families. It was almost nothing. It was the early 70s. And my dad found one other guy, and a lady over here, and a guy over there. So they got together and they decided they were going to build a temple. Just like you build a church down on 42nd Street. They decided they were going to pool their money together and build a temple. So they did that. And I would go with my dad every evening, and I'd help him paint the walls and the plumbing and things. And dedicated. We were dedicated to making this happen. And my dad was making sure I was dedicated to making it happen. And I did. I loved my dad. And then one of the other things in my family is I was the only son. Now, I'm not 100% sure how the Korean family structure goes, but when you're the only son in an Indian family, you're the man. You get a lot of respect, but you have a lot of pressure on you, because it's going to be your job to take over and run the family one day. And even though I had 2 older sisters, my dad made sure that I knew that I had responsibilities as I was going to grow up. So we built this temple. We would go there on Sundays, and sometimes during the week, and go and pray and do all these things I told you about, sing and this, that, and the other. And growing up, you know, when you grow up in the U.S. and you're going to high school or middle school, you learn other things, the ways of the U.S., how other kids live their lives. So it was weird for me to be able to step outside our house and do these rituals. As I grew older, I was like, I don't want my friends to see me doing this. Because there were crazy rituals. Some of them, you would go outside in the middle of the day, right after school, you'd have a plate of food, and my mom stood next to me and says, okay, we're going to do this ceremony. And I would take this food, perfectly good food, and throw it on the roof of the house while I'm chanting this thing that's supposed to give us good luck and fortune for the house. You know, and the first time I saw one of my friends, like, what are you doing? You know, and trying to explain to him, it was a little embarrassing for me. But those are the kind of things I grew up doing. Those rituals and stuff like that. And I knew to serve a purpose. So I stayed close to these guys, you know, growing up, because of my dad's influence. So my dad, he finally made all this money, working all these years, and decided that it was time for him to retire. So he went and bought a couple of businesses. He bought a little strip mall with some stores in it. And one of the other things he bought was a small hotel that had like maybe 20 rooms or something like that. And so we all moved into the hotel. My dad's like, we don't need a house. We'll just live there at the hotel and live in one of the rooms, 2 of the rooms, and make money off the rest of them. So we did that. We bought a hotel. And one day, the maid did not show up for work. And my dad, like the previous speaker said, my dad gave me the eye. Like, you need to get out there and do the rooms today. The vacuum cleaning, the bed sheets, the laundry, and all that stuff. It's our family business, and one day it's going to be your business, so you need to learn how to do all this stuff. I wasn't happy about it, you know, it's no fun cleaning rooms, but I respect my dad, I love my dad, and I did what he told me to do. So I went out there and I started cleaning the rooms, and as I'm cleaning all these rooms, I noticed a funny thing. It's like in every one of these rooms, there's this little book in the nightstand. And after a while, I noticed it's the same book. And I'm trying to figure out, why would somebody put the same book in every room of the hotel? And why was it even there? And I was thinking, oh, maybe it's some popular novel. It was so popular, they just decided to throw it in every hotel room, you know? Or maybe it was the favorite book of the person that used to own the hotel. I don't know. But it was in every room. So by the time I got to the 5th or 6th room, I opened it, and I knew there was going to be a book there, and there it was. It was a book again. So I took it out, and set it at the edge of the bed. I don't know, what is this thing about? And I flipped the first cover, and it's something about some people called Gideons or something like that. I didn't know. I didn't even pay attention to it. But then I flipped over a couple more pages, and it said, in the beginning, God created. Oh, nice fairy tale. You know, I haven't read this one. I read, you know, some of the other Scarlet Letter, Moby Dick, all those. I read those. You know, but I haven't really heard about this one. So I decided to start reading it. And I started reading and reading, and I was like, this is a crazy tale. You know, apples and serpents and things like that. It's going to be a movie one day, I'm sure. You know? So it really piqued my interest, you know? And so I took it back to my room that night. And I decided I'm just going to read it like I read the other books. And I'm reading through, and it starts talking about this God by the name of I Am and all this stuff. And I was like, I Am? What kind of name is that for a person? You know? But it was just so interesting to me. And so I realized after maybe a couple of weeks, this book is talking about another God apart from that. You go to the next picture. And so I became familiar with this new God. I Am. That's what I called him. And I added him to my other gods. Because I was like, surely one more God, you know, can't hurt. Might as well cover all my bases, you know? And so he just became a normal part of me, talking to him, praying to him, as well as all these other, those previous creepy looking creature thingies, you know? But as time went on, I got to the part of the Bible, I believe it's in Deuteronomy, it says, you will have no other gods before me. We got a problem. Because if this I Am is telling me I can't have any other gods before him, what about these other guys? What am I supposed to do about that? Because those other guys weren't telling me, they're like, get as many gods as you want. But this one was telling me, no other gods before me. In fact, the more I read, the more scared I got. Because it's telling me that if you worship these idols, these other gods, bad things going to happen to you. So then I got scared, and I was like, what am I supposed to do about this? So, a little time went on, and I was like, I debated with it to myself, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to come up with a plan, with a test. So one night, and this is about a month later after I got the Bible back to my room, I looked outside. I made sure that the sky was perfectly pristine clear. And the only thing I could think of, and it may seem silly to some people, was I said to I Am, if you're the real deal, make it rain. That's exactly what I said. You know? And it seems silly looking back to me now, but that's what I asked for. Because I believe, well, if he's God, he can do it. If he can't, then he's lying. And I'll just stick with my other crew, you know? And as I'm looking outside, making sure everything's clear, I lay down in my bed, and I'm like, all right, tick-tock, tick-tock. I'm not seeing any rain, not hearing any rain. Maybe I know this guy's just, you know, no. And then I drifted off asleep. I drifted off asleep. And within about 2 hours, I woke up because of a sound. And the sound was gentle thunder. And my eyes popped open after that sound. I whoa, wait a minute. Is that thunder? You know, and I'm just like laying in my bed, looking up at the ceiling. And I was like, let me see, let me wait, let me see what happens next, you know? And then I heard the first drip, hit the window. I was, oh boy, somebody's listening, you know? And then I had another drip, second drip, the third, and the fourth, and the fifth. The next thing I know, it was raining. I was like, yeah, I might be on to somebody here, you know? And so my stock level with I Am went up. And my stock level with the other guys kind of went down, you know? And so I was just laying there listening to the rainfall, and it got so heavy, and it rained and rained and rained and rained. It started giving me chill bumps, because in the 5 years I lived there, never saw that much rain fall that hard. you know, and started inside a little bit of, maybe we can call it faith, I don't know, started swelling up inside. And then I'm laying there, and the next thing I notice on the walls of my room were these flashes of lights. Blue, red, flashing back and forth on the wall. I'm like, I haven't even looked outside the window. And I'm looking like, what on earth is that? And so finally I sat up, I decided to sit up and look outside. And I looked outside, and it was a police officer in front of our business on Charleston Highway. I'm not talking about some back street, I'm talking about a major highway. And he was standing in the center of the road with his arms out to his side like this. And I looked all around him, and it was cars that could not pass any further. They were sitting sideways, like in some kind of puddle, and the rain had gotten up to the police officer's waist. The rest of him was underwater, and it completely flooded that entire street. First time I'd ever seen that in 5 years. So now the stock level with IM just took another 10 points. You know? I was like, I asked for rain and he sent me a flood. You know? How can you argue with something like that? So I decided, you know, if my dad finds out about this, I'm going to have to really know what I'm going to say. So I kept it a secret from my dad. And I decided to keep reading in the Bible, and I stopped worshiping all those other gods, and I just stuck with him. And what ended up happening was one day, I was trying to learn the Lord's Prayer, and I wrote it on my nightstand. And so every night when I lay down, I learned how to read it. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. I wanted to learn that prayer. And so I wrote it down there, and one day I came home from school, and my mom was laying in my bed. And I was like, whoa, uh-oh. You know, and she immediately sat up, she looked at me and said, what is this? What is this you scribbled on this nightstand? And I told her everything. How it happened, what happened, who happened. I told her everything. And she was so mad. She said, when your dad comes home, he's going to be so angry with you for doing this. We don't depart from our gods. We let those other crazy people in the world worship who they want, but we stick with our gods. And you're not going to do this. And I was scared, but at the same time, all I could think about was all that rain. And he just answered a prayer like that. And so my dad came home, and I love my dad. So much respect for my dad. The first time in my life I argued with my dad. And I was like, but dad. And he said, I don't want to hear it. Get rid of it. Or, I felt like he was going to say, I'm going to kill you, but thank God, that's what it felt like. But he was so angry, and he tried to convince me that night, and I just couldn't. I argued with him. And so he decided the next day, because I didn't change my mind about what I saw and believed, he was going to fix me. And the way he was going to fix me, he was going to take me to all the elders in our community at that time, the Indian elders, and see if some of them could speak some sense into me. So I went. The next day, got in the car, went all around town and everything, and spoke to all these different elders, and each one is trying to tell me, what are you doing? You're destroying your family name. You need to think about what you're doing. You're going to destroy your family by trying to take up something new like this. You know? We have our gods. Just stick with that. Don't do this to your father. Don't do this to your mother, your family. So I went to all these different elders, and I argued the same thing with all of them. And each one of them tried to convince me as hard as I can to stop following IM. And so it didn't work. After like 7 or 8 uncles, and I even had one uncle try to convince me I should become Islamic. Anything but Christian, just even Islam is better. You know? And so I had to argue with him too. And so it didn't work. So my dad had plan C the next day. And the next day he put me in a car. There was a priest, an Indian priest, in the front seat. They drove me for 8 hours. I didn't know where I was going. I was in the back seat. I was an emotional mess. And I was thinking, maybe I'm doing the wrong thing to my family. Maybe I shouldn't be believing this sort of stuff, etc., etc. And we drove for 8 hours. And inside I was praying to IM. I said, look, you opened the door. Where are you? I don't know what to do here, you know. And as we drove up to West Virginia, for like seven or something hours, we drove all the way up there to this Hindu temple on top of a mountain. And we walked in, and this priest came up to me in long white robes, scary looking. And he said, so you want to become a Christian? I said, I don't know if that's what it's called, but, you know, I believe I've been reading the Bible. And he says, all right, we'll fix that. So he took me in this long hallway that's as big as this. It was flat, and there was cushions in the center, and he said, sit here. And I sat from him, and he started arguing with me. It was just me and him in the room. He started telling me all the laws of physics and the laws of energy and all this stuff that I couldn't argue with. And he started bringing up argument, what's wrong with the Bible and things like that, that you shouldn't this, that, blah, 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 blah. You know? And inside I was like, well, maybe I am making a mistake. Maybe I am doing the wrong thing. And he even threw in there, don't do this to your family or ruin the family name, blah, blah, blah. So through all of this, inside I was still praying for a rescue or some direction or something, how to argue with this guy. And I was this close to just giving up and saying, you know what, you're right. I need to apologize to my dad. And let this nonsense go. It was right about that time, his cell phone rang. He picked it up, he talking to somebody, and so there was like a little break, like a timeout session for me. And I was looking down, searching my soul, trying to figure out, even talking to, I am, what am I going to do, what should I do, etc., etc. And while this was happening, a man walked in. And he sat in the corner on a couch. He didn't say anything to anybody. He sat in the corner over there. It was an older man with a cane. And he sat there and listened. Because when the guy got finished with the cell phone call, he started all over again, telling me, hey, this is wrong, that's wrong, you're doing this is a mistake, think about the flow of energy. I mean, all these crazy arguments that he was bringing towards me. And it was during that time when he was telling me all of this, that the guy in the corner said, 1 second. And he stopped him from what he was saying to me. And he said, let me ask you something. And the old man started telling him all the things that were wrong with the Hindu religion. And then I'm watching it like a tennis match, you know, going back and forth between the two of them. You know, inside I was like, whoa, yeah, you know. I got all a little excited, you know. And they argued and argued and argued. And then the priest, I think, realized I heard too much from the other guy's argument, to the point where he just turned and looked at me and said, you know what, if you have any questions, here's my card. And he left, you know. And then the old man walked out, and then I'm by myself. I'm going, yeah, he did it again, you know. And so I walked out of there, and I call it my mountaintop experience now. You know, that time I didn't really realize it as that. But where my dad took me, really to break me, became the place where I became my strongest at that time. And I came down, I was on fire, but my dad was like, you gotta go. Oop. And I had to move out and find my own way in life from that point forward. And it was a few years later where I think my dad decided he started missing me, and he was like, okay, you know, we'll just talk, you can come visit, and blah, blah, blah. And he said, you know, I want you to go visit some of our family in London. We found them after all this time. And I want you to go visit them and stuff. And we'll all go together. It'll be a good thing, a family thing again together. And I was like, yeah, Dad, because I love my dad. And I hated putting him through that. And I wanted to earn his respect back and his love back. And so we got on a plane, flew all the way to London, and we got there. And one of the first things that happened was all this other non-Christian family started telling me, what are you doing with your life? Why are you chasing after this craziness? You should be doing what your dad tells you to do. You should respect your dad. And the whole thing started all over again. You know, my dad just, my uncle was like, you're ruining the family name, blah, blah, blah. And it was so difficult because I was stuck in London. I couldn't just drive back to my house. I was with them in a foreign country. And one night upstairs, I was by myself, and by this time my faith was a little bit stronger. And I was asking God again for help. I don't know what to do here. And it was when I experienced my first supernatural experience. Paul talks about it in the New Testament. And the words Paul used was, I don't know whether it was in the spirit or in the flesh. But he was whisked away to heaven to see and experience something. And for me, I was sitting on my bed. I was sitting on my bed. And everything, like a perfect peace bubble came over me. Everything went quiet. And in an instant, I was not in the bedroom anymore. I was actually floating forward. And it stunned me so bad, like, what's going on? And then, I shouldn't be experiencing this. This is not normal. Maybe this is what happens to people on drugs or something, but this is not normal for me. You know? But I started floating forward. And as I'm floating forward, my eyes are already fixed for me. I can't just look around where I want. They're fixed down. And I'm gliding forward. And this lasted only like 20, 30 seconds. I'm gliding forward. And I see what looks like a pathway, a walkway. And it's all yellow. Everything was yellow. I just felt like the glow of yellow everywhere. And I'm looking down and I was like, even at that time I was thinking, is this gold? Because the way it looked. And there were little bricks. And I'm floating forward, and I float around the corner. It's like a pathway. And then my eyes are brought up, and it was a door. And the door was shaped like an arch, like this. And I was like, who shapes doors that way? You know? It was shaped like an arch. But on the door was written Patel in black letters. In letters that I can't really, it's hard to describe what the letters look like. It was P-A-T-E-L. And then, just that fast, I was back in the room. And I had to process what just happened. And the Spirit of the Lord told me, you have a place in heaven. You have a physical place in heaven, and your name is on the door. So no matter what your family tells you about the family name, you are the one that's actually carrying it forward. When with all these other people, it'll die out. So that vision that I got at that moment, I never looked back. I never worry about, even when I was in Afghanistan, even when I was in police work and people going crazy and some shooting and things like that, because I know I have a secure place. I know what my house looks like. I live on a corner lot, apparently. You know. And I have some bushes. I remember seeing something that looked like a bush on both sides of the walkway. But that vision was enough to carry me forward. And so, after that, I never, even when people try to come up to me, I decided I have to be ready. The Bible says, be ready to give an account of the hope that's in you. So I made sure that whether it's my testimony or if I go somewhere and just talk to somebody, that I need to be prepared to know what to say. Because Jesus, there is really no other answer. And as I see all your young faces, I've got a lot of experience behind me. You know, in the couple of things I just want to close with, I'm going to tell you this much, that God loves humility. He loves the humble heart. So you want to get ahead in this world, you want to accomplish something that is worthwhile, humility is one of the biggest keys. The second is love. Even when people say love your enemies, some of you, or maybe most of you, are thinking about that other friend of yours that said something behind your back last week. But for me, enemies literally becomes that guy that's over the next berm who's got an AK-47 and he wants to kill me the first chance he gets. And I have to pray for him. That's loving your enemies. Now, I'm not just going to go out there and say, hey, buddy, you know, I love you, you know, I know you might shoot me, but Jesus loves you, you know. You got to be a little smart. But being able to love those kind of people. And the last thing I'll tell you, and this is a few years back, is I went to get an oil change in my car. I was at a gas station, and I was having a little bit of a tough time. And I went out and said, you know, I don't want to be in this thing they're watching, some craziest thing on television, one of those talk shows. So I decided I'm going to go outside and just pray. So I went outside, and I'm standing underneath a tree, the breeze is blowing, and I just looking for God. I was like, Lord, talk to me. You know, I've got this going on, that going on, da 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 da. And I closed my eyes and I started praying. Out there behind this oil change place, the guys are over there doing their thing. You know, this is the middle of the town. Cars coming and going. And I have my eyes closed and I feel a car drive up, like literally next to me. And the shops over there said, nobody should be like driving up to me. I'm like in this isolated little tree. And the car drives right up next to me. And I feel the heat of the engine. And I'm praying, but I'm thinking at the same time, I think somebody just drove up next to me. So I open one eye and look out, it was a car. It was a red Cadillac with tinted windows. Couldn't see anything inside. And it pulled up next to me, and the window went down. And there was a guy there, and he looked like he was 200 years old. And he just looked up at me. And he said to me, "What are you telling my people?" And I was like, who drives up to somebody at a oil change place in a red Cadillac and says, "What are you telling my people?" Now, I'm going to entertain him, and I'm also in fear and trembling, because what if this is the guy? You know, the guy. You know, I didn't know. So I told him, well, you know, sir, what I would try to tell him is that to love your enemies and just peace and, you know, try to forgive. And, you know, I was trying to give him all the right answers while he was parked next to me. And he was going, okay, okay. Then he looked up at me and he said this phrase to me. He said, "Trust and obey." He said it 3 times, trust and obey. Trust and obey. And then I was like, "Can I get your name?" And he didn't want to give me his name. This is not important. And I said, "Please?" And he said, "Yeah, it's not important." I said, "Pretty please?" And he said, "Win." I was like, W-I-N-N, W-H-I-N-N. You know, I was trying to get the details there. And he said, "My name is Win, and I'll see you on the other side." And the window rolled up, and he drove off. So I'll leave you with that as I close here now. Trust and obey. You have a long life in front of you. I'm closer to the other end. But I can tell you, nothing has impacted my life more than knowing Jesus, following Jesus, trusting Jesus in the worst of circumstances and in the best. Some of you don't comprehend that yet, but give it time. All these scriptures you're reading, when you need it, they'll come back to you. It shocked me a few times when they come back to me and minister to me, or they were used to minister to somebody else. So love your parents. Love the people around you. You're blessed because a lot of you are Christian. And there's many, many, many people out there that don't know Jesus. And most of my family, 99.999%, still doesn't know Jesus. Just a few that I've been able to witness to. So the harvest is out there. So I hope and pray that each one of you will move forward, equip yourself to be able to, whether it's at school, at work, or wherever, at the basketball court, you take that time to spend that moment and share your faith in love with these people. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus, Holy Spirit, I just thank you for all of your wonderful, mighty blessings in our lives, Father. Lord, I pray that you would equip each person here, Lord, to glorify your name, that you would give them the words and utterances they need, Lord, to be able to witness to other people, that they stay strong through the faith, Lord, that they weather the storms, Lord, that life has in store ahead of them, Father, and that you would keep them in perfect peace, and that you would come and talk to them, that you would send people like Wynn, Lord, their way at the right time in the right place, and keep their faith alive and strong. We thank you, God. We just honor you for this event and the time here, Lord. And I pray, Father, for each of them to succeed in doing your will for their lives. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.